so I don't have to unmute. Hello, hello.
Hey, Nick.
Thank you both so much for taking the time and for bringing these iconic characters to life. I adored everything about the show, but I wanted to start with for Tom.
Yeah.
How important was it to you to not portray Morpheus as like a dark, brooding punk figure? Bless you.
Sorry.
to not portray him as a dark, brooding punk figure,
and as someone not so stereotypically dark, as it were.
Well, I mean, it was important in the sense that I think there's a misconception about Morpheus as he certainly is brooding and dark, but I think there's a misconception that his isolationism and his withdrawn, sort of contained qualities are because he doesn't feel. I think that he, in containing inside of him the unconsciousness of the universe and containing inside of him all of every sentient being's dreams, he knows exactly how each and every one of us feels, and therefore I think it is an extraordinary empathetic being. But the discipline required to hold that energy inside of him and avoid the catastrophe that sort of that miscontrolling it would cause means that he has to be rigorous and controlled, but I do think that inside him there's this extraordinary vivacity and life. Yeah.
Sure, hold for 1 second.
Oh no, it's fine. Oh. I just sneezed.
Sorry. Vivienne sneezed.
I sneezed, sorry. And it was weird, and everyone was taking my head.
Everyone got really worried. They thought something was happening. It was a sneeze. She's good.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Next question, Danielle.
All right, this question is for both of you. I'm Danielle Ryan from Flash Film. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, if you could have one of Dream's magical items, which one would you want and why?
Well, maybe someone's already got one. Oh God, that's such a good question. I think for me, it would actually be the sand. Because I just think there's so much power in that sand, and it can transform and change and just mean so much. I think for me, it would be the sand. Yeah, the sand for me.
For me, it would be the helm, for a very specific reason, which is if you read all of Sandman, and actually it's Sandman Overture, where you discover how the helm was created. It was in a battle he had with a god, and I think it's the spine and the skull of the god put together. But that battle was connected to one of the only loves that Morpheus has ever had, and so having the helm would remind me of one of my only loves.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. I'm emotional.
Hey?
I'm emotional.
Adam.
Thank you for sitting down with me, Adam from Sci-Fi Wire.
Hi.
Hello. Do you recommend rereading the comics before or after seeing the Netflix series?
Oh, that's an amazing question.
That's such a good question, isn't it?
I mean, I think the first thing to say is that if you haven't read the comics at all, then there is nothing to fear by embarking on this journey. Like, no, I mean, obviously you have, but just, I think there may be people who are fearful that this world is too kind of vast to enter as a virgin, and it's not. It's so exciting to come to it anew. But I think I would reread them after watching it, because I think that the thing. I think that you want it to be as new an experience for you as possible, basically. And but I also think that it'd be more thrilling to reread them and investigate them afterwards, like, and to see the way that Neil has re-explored ideas and the things that he's changed, and to understand why he has afterwards, after seeing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Starry Constellation Mag.
Hi, thanks so much for taking your time to chat with us. These are such beautiful and nuanced roles for both of you, but there's also such a darkness to this series as well. Was there something about the roles or about how fascinating Neil has created this world that really made you want to be a part of this series?
Yeah, all of it, because as you said, it is a fascinating, incredible world, but still so relatable. You know, we're telling stories, and yes, it is in this fantasy setting, but for me, coming to it and really delving into it, it spoke to me on a human level. It made me think a lot. It made me explore things within myself. So for me, that really excited me. And I think for me playing this role, it's it's just magical, because it's so seeped in truth about who we are as humans, about the human condition. And that's what I love about it. It's on the surface, maybe on a backdrop that is fantasy and epic and vast, but actually it's so deep and so special. I just love it, and it really just made me hungry to be a part of it.
Jamie from Vision.
Hi, I'm Jamie from Sci-Fi Vision. Thanks for talking to me. I really enjoyed the series. This is my first time I've watched the whole 10 episodes, but I've not read it. But I want to. So I'm just, with such a deep history though, how do you kind of balance what you pull from that history versus what you're able to add creatively on your own, for both of you?
It's just so unusual to have, when you're building a character or when you're embarking upon a job, to have a Bible that is over 2,500 pages long, and where that you can really discover every fragment of who these characters are. And so you have to begin there. That has to be your starting point and your foundation. And then beyond that, our series is made by Neil Gaiman, the man, the author, the legend. And so you kind of, that offers an amazing freedom, because you know that if you go in the wrong direction, he's just going to go, oh, whoa, just relax. Let's talk about this. Let me guide you. And so I think unusually, because of his proximity to everything that we did, you actually could be much freer than you normally would, and really, play with ideas and take it as far as you could, because you knew that you had the safety net of the man who created it sitting on your, well, not literally sitting on my shoulder.
Did he not sit on your shoulder?
He didn't sit on my shoulder. Matthew the Raven sat on my shoulder.
Oh, Neil sat on my shoulder. Really? Joke backfired. It's fine. The same as Tom, really. I felt really safe and liberated doing this, because you've got the original material and you've got Neil, you've got these amazing scripts that have been adapted by Alan. So yeah, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, it's thrilling to have the work there and to see where it takes you. It's almost like you don't have to worry about certain things, because it's there for you, so you can play and explore and discover truth within that even more. So for me, I found it an amazing experience.
Great. Well, thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Right, back to Nick.
I guess this would be more for Tom, even though Lucien does get out and about. But which
he does.
Which setting from the first season intrigued you the most? And even though it's not like all of it was real and around you, but
yeah, but it really was. That's what's unbelievable about this production, is that everything, I mean, and beyond the impossible, was built. Like the first thing that came to my head was hell. It was extraordinary to be inside Lucifer's lair, And, you know, that floor was stone. Those columns were marble. The murals were painted on the walls. The fire burnt your face. And, you know, it's such a difficult thing when you do a job like this, the kind of the leaps of imagination that are required. And what was so special was that the production design team and everyone involved made those leaps so much smaller than they needed to be because they made it. And yeah, I mean, the first thing that came into my head was hell. And there wasn't genuinely, I don't think, one piece of green screen in that sequence that I worked with, you know, other than like maybe sitting outside a window or something. And that was just, it's incredibly easy to tell the truth when you can touch the truth.
Yeah, it's a gift. It was amazing.
Danielle?
Similarly, was there anything about your costumes that you really, really loved? Any small details that maybe you wouldn't catch watching the first time, but that we can see later?
Oh, all of it. Lucienne is always in braces. I don't know if we see the braces. The ears, I loved the ears, the little pointy ears, so subtle but amazing. Her having glasses, I loved just everything. It was so detailed and so amazing. I'd step into that costume and I was like, okay, I'm Lucienne. Just even, I don't know if I should say that because it might spoil a bit. Will it spoil a bit? I don't know. But just, it's Sarah Arthur, who was our costume designer, just was so incredibly detailed with costume. And for Lucienne personally, when we first see her, because the dreaming is, you know, it's a mess. It's destroyed.
Falling apart.
It's falling apart. You also see that reflected in her costume. She's disheveled. She's, you know, it's been broken down. You know, and then as the dreaming is starting to be restored, we also see that in her costume. And, you know, there's a change in her. So I loved that.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing about the costumes, in which we worked, you know, me and Sarah worked really hard on together, was that in the same way that in the novel, in the graphic novel, that Dream presents himself differently to different people, because it's important that they see him as a, you know, aspect of themselves. And we really tried with each costume and each environment for it to be truthful to the situation. I mean, I think my favorite costume, which actually was designed by this British fashion designer called Gareth Pugh, was the costume that I faced Lucifer in Hell. Like, which is just what was required was suddenly to have a kind of a power that could, a sort of a uniform that you could take on the ruler of hell. And I thought like he achieved that like exquisitely. But yeah, it was the way that the clothes reflected the mood of each moment that was really exciting to kind of explore.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our last question is Adam.
Oh, great. Obviously, you had to leave some stuff behind from the comic, but was there something that you, when you read the source material, that you clung to for your character, that you had to have, that you had to make sure that you delivered?
I mean, there was more than something. I mean, it really felt like everything. I mean, I wanted, and we all wanted to be as faithful to the comics as possible. I mean, as you say, obviously there are some changes in bringing it into 2021 and it not being a period piece, but those changes, you know, were necessitated by that. Like, these characters are faced with the modern world, which is obviously different to how it was 30 years ago. But as far as who Morpheus is, I wanted to be as faithful to how Neil created him all those years ago.
Yeah, same for me with Lucienne, really, because I think that for me, it's so clearly on the page. Who that character is so clear to me. The care for Morpheus, the care for the dreaming, the compassion, and the love for him. So for me, that was all there, and I held on to what I had, because what I had was so rich and told me so much. So all there was for me to do was to go further and discover new things, but the essence of who that character is was just so explicit and whole and there. So yeah.
Great, thank you.